Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Martin Shumton and this is a weavr.space interview and I am joined by Glenn. Who are you? What do you do?
Hi, I'm Glenn Moris. I'm working with weavr as chief designer on our VR app. We are basically building a platform where people can upload their 360 stories and 360 videos which they make all around the world. So yeah, we're currently in startup phase and we're interested to see how this is going to develop later on this year and next year. Yep.
So let's talk, why 360 photos and videos? Why do you think that's a space to be in right now?
Well, first of all, it's an easy step for people who want to experience VR. It's a great way to experience VR early on, because I mean you can use 360 videos and 360 images pretty easily by just taking them wherever you go and then putting them online and viewing them in your headset. So, and also I think the market is now really exploding with all these new headsets and 360 cameras, which are becoming really available at the moment. So, yeah.
Good. So, in terms of people's experience in 360, what do you think are the most important aspects? I mean, we hear about presence, and that's kind of like the main word. What are the other factors that you think that are being considered and that you're considering as a designer of the architecture of the experiences, really?
What do you mean exactly with? So
what are the important factors when it comes to 360? What are the things that you think that make a difference to it?
Well, it's a really immersive experience, so that's why I mean, yeah, 360 video gives you a real feeling that you're really there, looking at from the perspective of the camera or the way the people are looking from. I mean,
so let me ask a question in a different way. We'll do a question in a different way. So, when people, so you have a 360 photo, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen a lot of these photos because you've been building the app and the photos have been populating it. What are the criteria that makes for a good 360 photo?
Well, first of all, I believe you have to keep the point of view of the human eye. So let's say you don't need to put the camera too low to the ground or too high above the ground. So it's very important when you take a 360 image or video that it's at eye level. Otherwise, you would get the feeling, if it's close to the ground, that you're like a little dwarf looking at giant things. Or even if you put the camera too high, it feels like you're a giant. So that's the main thing, actually. What's really important when you make your images. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about the difference of the picture quality? What have you found there? Different cameras, different quality?
Yes, for now. I mean, the basic cameras which are on the market, which are ranging between, I mean, a couple of $100 and close to $1,000, they're typically not that high resolution yet. So they're more high-end cameras which cost about closer to $4,000. They're really good at image quality. Yes, yeah. But I think as with all technology, this will evolve pretty fast. That it will get cheaper pretty fast. So yeah.
So really, these are the entry points on this. I've been using a Theta S, been using the Cam, got photos, chatting with Pio about the Panono. So we now can start to see the sort of price point on what you can get from that. We talk about the position of the camera. What are the favorite experiences that you've had as you've been testing different things? What are the ones that have given you the most immersion? Is it down to color? Is it with video down to sound? Is it quality of the microphone, or on video side? What are the factors that you think make the biggest difference? Obviously, resolution is a big part of it.
It's a very big part. Yeah, obviously, sound is very important when you're looking at a video. Obviously, it has sound, but when in 360 images, it's kind of difficult because you feel like you're there, but you're not hearing anything. So this is a point which needs to be addressed. So at some point we need to look at how we add sound in environments like 360 images, that it isn't completely quiet. So it's a completely different experience than watching a 2D image, because you don't feel like you're really there. So there's this one point which can obviously, well, make a big difference. Yes. What else? I mean, the best experiences I had were like really small documentaries, like from Discovery Channel has his own VR app, which is making small 10 to 20 minute documentaries in 360, which are really well produced and high quality. So this is really giving you the experience that you're really there. So it's going to take a while before everyone is able to produce such quality, but I think it will get there. Yeah.
Good. In terms of weavr, in terms of the app, who do you think should be paying attention to for the ability to be putting content there, as well as potentially on Facebook, YouTube, other networks? Who do you think weavr is really there for right now?
Well, right now we're aiming actually at people who are early adopters for obviously VR headsets and 360 cameras. You need to actually have both when you want to create. When you don't need to have both, but when you want to create stories, obviously have to aim at the early adopters who want to use their 360 images and videos and put them somewhere online. They can do it right now on YouTube and Facebook, but they currently lack the ability to really go and view them in VR. This is what we're trying to do as well.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we're also aiming at businesses who want to have a VR presence, and we want to give them the ability to easily create their own, let's say, their own environment, their own platform, sort of like their own little VR operating system where they can completely customize their background, their category, their menus, their user interface, completely in tune with their branding and their company image, let's say. So this could be, for instance, real estate offices or travel agencies, tourist agencies, which really want to display in an immersive way their products. Yeah. So basically, we're aiming at normal users, home users, and businesses as well. The business side would be more of a white label platform, which we are providing, where then, like I said before, they can completely customize their own app. So it's sort of an operating system. And on the other hand, for personal users, it would be our weavr app, which is then, I mean, if you link your accounts, like social media, Facebook, Pinterest, and Google+, you will get stories based upon your interests presented to you on our application. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's a great description. That was really good.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little machine learning.
Okay.
How is machine learning playing into what weavr is doing?
So the machine learning part is really a critical part of the whole process and how we determine what you actually like. So what happens is that as soon as you connect your one of your social media accounts, we go and take a look at, oh no, not we, but the machine learning algorithm takes a look at the images you currently have available. And this algorithm can determine with high accuracy, like almost 99% accuracy, what exactly is in the image. And by doing this, we can determine what you like. So I mean, what you're interested in. Obviously, you will have images about stuff you're doing and travels you go to and hobbies you practice. And we can then show you interesting stories based upon this. And this is basically, yeah, our algorithm does nothing else but take a look at images and determine what it sees actually. So if there's a dog in the image, it will show you it will tell you with 99% accuracy, okay, this is a dog in this image, but there might also be another thing in the image, like the dog might be on top of a mountain, so it will also see that there's a mountain in the picture. So this will help determine what you're actually up to. Yeah.
So I think that the thing for people to know is that this means that people can be consuming content and having an experience based upon the things that they're into, and that's what gets brought in, and that's the suggested stories, because the stories are already being created, people are in there building out the content. But also from a producer's point of view, as this goes on, they can be producing content that other people can then find and follow those stories and engage in those stories.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just the ability that you just use the application just to go and explore and view stories. So there's no need to actually go and create stories. You can just, it's kind of like YouTube, you know. Not everybody puts videos on YouTube. Most of the people just go and look there and look for interesting stuff. But so yeah, so that's basically the same idea behind weavr. So you can also just go there and experience content. Yeah.
Let's talk a little about stories. What makes a good story?
What makes a good story? I mean, all stories are good. I mean, if you're really passionate about something and you want to share it with everybody, like your parents or your friends, then obviously, well, showing them pictures about what you're doing is typically not really a story. But as soon as you add a little description and you put the pictures in the right order and you link, maybe you put some links in the story to some web pages or whatever, or other videos that explain even more about your story, then it becomes somehow more engaging and more interesting for people who watch it. So it's not like you just create a slideshow of images, but you enrich the experience. The images you would put online, you enrich them with additional information. It could be 3D objects, it could be links to websites, or you could place products inside these environments. So this is what I believe will change storytelling quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Now, you designed the weavr interface.
Yes.
Which is great. Do you want to take people through the process that your thinking process of how do you design an interface?
Well, that's very interesting. This topic is, of course, designing for VR is groundbreaking. It's actually everything's possible. So it's a difficult task to really achieve a user-friendly interface, let's say. Our standpoint was that we needed to design an interface which is usable, user-friendly on all devices, which means it needs to be usable on a cardboard, like on a cell phone. It needs to be usable on the high-end devices like Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, which obviously come with room tracking, room scale, and controllers. So you can actually point and click at stuff in space, where opposed to as you have in a cell phone, it's only working with gazing at objects, so you have no control with your hands, let's say. Well, this kind of changed now with the Google Daydream, because they added a controller as well to their headset, which is, I haven't tried it yet, but it's supposed to be a really nice experience because you're mobile, you're not connected with wires, so that's a very important thing as well. VR is typically a standing experience, so it's mostly recommended that when you're inside VR that you're standing upright. There are some studies on the internet which I've read about that the human muscles actually, that's difficult to explain, but your neck muscles, they tend to be easier. You can turn your head left and right easier when you're standing up than when you're sitting down. You should actually give this a try, but it's actually true. So we designed our experiences to be standing up as well. So you're standing on a platform which is floating in space, where you can have like you can see a UI, a user interface all around you. So basically, we tried to create an operating system. I like to call it an operating system. It's not really there yet, but I believe the future, I mean, VR in the future and AR in the future needs an operating system. This is the kind of thing I've been keeping in the back of my mind since I designed it from the very beginning, that we we can always build upon the user interface we have right now and then enrich it with additional features later on as the technology gets more advanced. But so these were the main things I had to keep in mind designing. So basically human ergonomics and field of view, and how people actually interact with things in the real world. That's the main thing. I mean, the most important thing I had to do during the design. What else can I tell you about it? I tried to make it as natural as possible. So a good UI is a UI where you don't need to think about what you're doing. It needs to come naturally. It needs to satisfy the user, and yeah, it doesn't need to be, I mean, you cannot make it too complex, especially if everybody needs to use it. And since VR is a new medium, we need to start simple, keep it simple, and build upon this. Yeah.
Perfect. What's it like to work for a VR startup?
It's great. I mean, yeah, that's, you know, I've been a VR fan since the very beginning. I mean, not since the old VR in the 80s. I was still too young then, but since the last couple of years when they were talking about the Oculus Rift coming out and HTC Vive releasing their first headset at the beginning of this year, I was immediately an early adopter. So I ordered my headsets online and I was practically one of the first to receive it, I guess. So, and this in combination with my studies as a UX designer was just like a dream come true to be able to work at a startup in virtual reality and doing the whole UX and UI part. So I'm very happy to be doing this, yeah. Yeah.
Great. Now, we've got the launch going to happen pretty soon where people are going to be able to have access. Where does it go for you as a designer from that point onwards? In terms of listening to the feedback, in terms of roadmap, what's going to happen from there?
You mean when we launched the app in December, or so in December I think we launched the beta version, so it will be available on HTC Vive, on Oculus Rift, and on Android phones. What's going to happen then is I mean, we're going to get a lot of feedback, and this is going to be critical to improve the user experience even more. Yeah. What I expect is a lot of feedback regarding user interface interactions and features. So mostly features that will be missing or which people tend to be expecting. This is what I think will happen. Yeah.
So what do you think are, in terms of, without giving away too much to people in terms of the roadmap, what do you think are some of the things that people can expect next year?
I think as soon as you start creating stories and you're putting them online to share with other people, I think people will like to have the same things they have right now, which they have on YouTube and stuff and Facebook, like commenting, following certain artists or uploaders, and yeah, favoriting, liking, and yeah, sharing with other people inside of the VR app. Yeah, this is currently not right there in the beta version because we really want to test how people enjoy the experience. So really it's about the stories right now, and it's not about the social part as much, but we do intend to get it there. Yeah, but we need to start lean at first. So I mean, we cannot put all the features out right now and then have it to be like a big mess and everything. So we want to focus on the quality first of the experience, and then later on add more social aspects to it. Yeah.
Great. I want to talk a minute about analytics in VR. Mm-hmm. How do you see that whole space? I mean, I love analytics, and I love understanding attention and how do you move people's attention and these sorts of things. Where are we at with analytics in this space? Analytics,
difficult to answer. I mean, You mean analyzing what the user is looking at and where his attention is placed, or how do you mean, or like?
Yeah, and time in app, and number of stories or number of images seen, and those things. I mean, how important is that for as feedback?
Well, it is quite important actually, because I mean, we have included, when you create a story, we have included that you can determine the length of your storyline. So like, most users will like to have the freedom to browse through the story at a certain speed. So if you want to skip a scene, you have the ability to hit a next or a previous button if the slideshow or the presentation takes too long, let's say. How to track this? Basically, this is not really my field there. I don't know exactly how to do this quite yet, but the most important thing and the interesting thing to see is where do people put their attention, and this is something we have to still figure out. I mean, you can draw people's attention obviously in a 360 image. You can put your attention anywhere, and if you're, as a story creator, intend to have the user look at a certain point inside of your 360 image, you need to enrich it with some visual cues or audio cues that people need to direct their attention to this place, so that they're not looking at the back instead of the front or something like this.
Yeah.
So this is something which can be achieved, like I mentioned before, with the addition of putting extra text there, or like floating bubbles or whatever 3D objects which you can interact with. So this is the main thing, how we will direct people to follow the certain, follow the certain storyline inside of a 360 area. Yeah. In terms of tracking this, and this is something I really don't know how to do. It's more of my colleagues' work.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So, the future. This space has exploded. I mean, you see it's exploding from an investment point of view, from a use point of view, that the units are still getting out there, different price points for both for content creators. So we've got the cameras as well as the different types of headset. You and I are geeky, I would say, on the end of it. So in terms of so we got into the space and have used units. Where do you think it's going for the consumers? We knew it's going to be slow this year. Do you think 2017 is the year things are going to take off now with PlayStation as well, and general VR?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think mobile VR is going to be really big. I think this is really also the best entry point for most users, that it's a mobile. Everybody has a mobile phone. A Google Daydream headset and a Samsung Gear VR, they don't cost that much, so like $80 or something.
Yeah.
So I think this will really take off. Yeah. In terms of quality, the quality is not really there yet with the mobile, but yeah, who knows? This might change soon. The head-mounted displays, the high-end ones like the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, they are, in terms of quality, the best out there right now. Still, there's a lot of room for improvement regarding resolution and field of view. But I think this has to change. I mean, this is going to change pretty fast. You can tell by the news reports and the press releases that they're really pushing this forward. And I think in 2017 it's going to be the main topic of the year. It's going to be VR and augmented reality, that's for sure. Another thing is then also the augmented reality part. Right now you have either VR or AR, and these are two different kinds of things. Well, in VR you immerse yourself in a complete new world, and in AR you add a layer of virtual reality on top of reality, let's say, so you can still see the real world around you. What I think and what I believe that is going to happen in the future is that these two things will merge into one device. It will be very difficult for VR to compete against AR in the future, I guess, because the potential of AR is huge. This is what most news reports and investors and surveys have shown. So the term mixed reality then comes into place, and I think a mixed reality headset will be capable of doing both things. So it will be capable of immersing you in a virtual environment, and if you choose to, you can switch to AR mode, let's say, and have it mixed with reality. This is far in the future. I'm talking about maybe the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
It's like Apple is also heavily investing now. I mean, secretively, of course, but they're putting their bets on AR, I guess, more than VR, which is I found very interesting. Microsoft as well has the HoloLens, which is a fantastic device to use. It's really awesome. It's just it has a really narrow field of view, so you really don't feel immersed in anything. You can just, if you look straight ahead at something, you can see something added on top of reality, but it's still a long way from being immersive AR, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's why I think VR is a good stepping stone for developers and for people to get used to putting something on your head, getting used to interacting in real world space, so not on a flat screen and with your keyboard and mouse anymore. So VR is really good, a learning school for the future. You can develop a lot of things pretty fast, even though they're not really, I mean, high-end graphics or high-resolution displays or stuff like this. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Great. Last question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people who want to get more into VR from 2 points of view, one of which is to experience things, and the other one is if they want to get involved with VR companies as you have and learning from what you've done, the programs that you've had to learn, etc. So let's go for the consumers first. Let's go for the starting point.
So the consumers, how they would get into VR easily, you mean? Or yeah, obviously, if you have an Android device, it will be the best choice is to get a Daydream, or the Daydream only works with a Google Pixel. So yeah, you either have to get an S7 Samsung or a Google Pixel and buy the head-mounted display additionally, and then just start exploring the app stores, which they have made available. Yeah, this is, I mean, if you don't want to spend too much money, that is, then this is the right way to go. Yeah.
Cool. And what we'll do, just one sec, so I'll edit.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give people if they want to become like you, Glenn, and get involved with a VR company?
Well, I mean, you need to have a background in computer science anyway if you want to really get into the development and the coding part. So I believe this is not much different than what current developers are doing. But if you're really interested in what I'm doing, like the UX part, it's actually, you know, it's actually very interesting. Why? Because I'm actually an architect. From my education as an architect, I did like 7 years ago. So this benefits me quite a lot in developing a VR world, because you're not dealing with 2D space anymore.
Yeah.
So all the things architects are learning right now, these things are very valuable also for creating a VR experience, because they know how to do perspectives, so they know how to build a room, they know how to I mean, make comfortable environments. So this is why I felt so comfortable in designing this VR interface. Yeah. So
people should study to become an architect and then do computer.
I think architects, they have like, or interior designers, they have like how do you say, an advantage, yeah. In if they really want, if they're really interested in building VR environments, they have the right skill set, that's for sure, yeah. As a design point of view, so not technical. I mean, technical is more for the developers out there, you know. Or for designers, UX and UI designers are very valuable. We just need to rethink what a user interface is like and how people actually use a user interface. I mean, it's no longer a keyboard and a mouse. It's your hands. It's going to be your hands, and this is what changes everything. How do you think about how to give the user a tactile feedback in space and playing sound when you push a button with your finger and things like this. And it's all a lot of fun. Yeah. And even there is some technology out there. I have it right here. It's called a leap motion. It's something you can put on top of your headset. I have my headset right here.
Yeah.
It's not connected right now, but it's this is my HTC Vive, and I had an add-on here, and I can put a sensor in here. So when I put on my headset like this, and I put my hands in front of it, it can actually see my hands, and I can move my hands and my fingers in real space. So this is really awesome, and I think really this is the way to go in the future, is that controllers will disappear and your headset, it will be an inside-out experience as opposed to an outside-in experience. So the outside-in experience is what is happening right now, is that you need to be tracked by sensors which you place on the wall or on your desk, and this is called an outside-in experience. And an inside-out experience is when your headset is actually scanning your environment and knows what it sees and where you are. And I believe this is what we should try to build for, and where the technology companies and hardware companies also should put their efforts in. And then in this in conjunction with scanning your hands as well, so you can actually see your hands and operate UI elements in space. This is definitely the future and the way to go. Wireless and inside-out tracking. Yeah, definitely.
How can everyone find you, Glenn? If you want to
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't actually. Nobody can find me on Facebook, but that's not a big deal. But I'm on LinkedIn and on Twitter. So if you look Glenn Moris up on LinkedIn, you can find me. I'm happy to connect with everybody who's interested in VR and AR. And Twitter, I post regularly some interesting things about this technology and about UX design. It's also just Glenn Moris, double N, one R.
There we go. Don't worry, we'll put it in the description links. Have a look below, and there'll be Glenn's links there for LinkedIn and Twitter, as well as the link for weavr.space. Glenn, thank you so much. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. It was cool. Yeah.
Take care, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Loads more content coming your way. Go and check out weavr.space. See you soon.
See ya. Bye.